It's an image circulating on the sly, a stolen photo, yet one that's hotly topical. A princess on a beach, clad simply in a bikini. There's nothing provocative in the intention, but everything in the interpretation. The protagonist, Leonor of Spain, the heir to the throne, future queen of a kingdom that scrutinizes her every move. A silhouette frozen by a photographer's indiscreet lens, a scene of summer relaxation that suddenly becomes a topic of national debate. The unease is palpable. These new photos, released without her consent, or rekindling old tensions. How far should royal figures accept the invasion of their privacy? And above all, where is the line between public image and private life? The scene took place on an Iberian beach, one of those heavenly places where both anonymous and celebrities hope to blend into the background. Leonor, fresh out of her intense military training, had taken a few days off. Far from the uniforms, the parades, the responsibilities. A break. A few moments of normalcy for a 19-year-old young woman. Except she's not like any other young woman. She's the Princess of Asturias. And every grain of sand she walks on could become state news. The images are neither indecent nor shocking. But they are intimate, stolen, captured without permission. Leonor smiles, chats with a friend, dives into the turquoise water. A seemingly innocuous moment for any other young woman. For her, a media storm. Because behind every photo lies an ethical question. What are we protecting? Freedom of the press or the right to privacy? In the Spanish monarchy, precedents abound. Her mother, Queen Letizia, a former journalist, knows better than anyone the power and excesses of image. Since her marriage to King Felipe VI, she has learned to control her public image with millimeter precision. A calculated smile, precise gestures, measured glances. An almost military-like science of communication. But what about a young heiress barely out of her teens? Leonor was born in the age of smartphones, social media, and instantaneous flashes. She has never had the luxury of anonymity. This bikini-clad photo, published on forums and replayed by certain anonymous accounts on X and Instagram, is symptomatic of a new voyeurism. One that hunts for the weakest, the natural moment, the better to resell it at a high price. Not only to the tabloids, but also to a public hungry for unfiltered reality. Even when it comes to a minor or a very young adult. But behind the tumult, a more subtle portrait emerges. That of a young woman torn between two worlds. That of royalty, where everything is controlled, codified, and imposed. And that of youth, where everything is spontaneous, casual, and free. Leonor embodies this fragile bridge between two eras. And every image, even in a bikini, speaks to this tension. In Spain, the issue of the monarchy remains a hot topic. Some sections of the population question its usefulness, while others ardently defend it. Leonor, with her seriousness and modernity, is often seen as the institution's last hope for survival. A young, honest, and well-educated figure, far removed from the scandals that tarnished her grandfather, Juan Carlos. But this same image compels her to be irreproachable, everywhere, all the time. Even on the beach, even during a moment of rest. And then there's the psychological impact. Being stalked, scrutinized, and judged from a very young age. Growing up in a world where the slightest pimple on the face or the choice of a swimsuit can go viral. How can one construct one's identity under these conditions? Leonor, although prepared, remains a young woman in the making. And this kind of exposure, even seemingly trivial, can leave deep scars. Some children's rights advocates have reacted. For them, this type of exposure is a serious invasion of privacy. They point out that, despite her status, Leonor is first and foremost a person. And that no one should be reduced to a body on a beach, photographed without their knowledge. Internationally, the situation is being watched with interest. Other young royals, such as Amalia of the Netherlands or Ingrid Alexandra of Norway, have also been victims of this intrusive attention. Each time, the debate resurfaces. Freedom of the press or right to one's image. Public interest or unhealthy curiosity. Leonor's popularity isn't necessarily suffering. On the contrary, some young people are more supportive of her, finding her more accessible, more real. But this compassion shouldn't be the price to pay for a lost moment of privacy. In circles close to the royal family, the tone is more serious. There are whispers of a desire to strengthen media protection around Leonor. Perhaps by limiting her unofficial appearances, by more closely monitoring her private movements. But is this really the solution? Further locking up a young woman who has never been allowed to be in the spotlight? The question goes beyond Leonor's case. It touches on modern society as a whole. It concerns the way we consume images. Our fascination with public figures. Our ability to respect invisible boundaries. In journalism schools, this type of affair becomes a case study. How far can we go? What is the difference between information and intrusion? In the age of social media, everyone is potentially a paparazzi. And the victims often have only silence to defend themselves. Leonor has not spoken out. And that is perhaps what is most striking. Her silence is that of a generation that suffers more than it chooses. That lives through looks, judgments, likes, and screenshots. Leonor's bikini is merely a pretext. A spark. The real issue lies elsewhere. It is in our gaze, in our desire to see what does not belong to us. It's in the way we shape icons and then break them. As the images continue to circulate on the fringes, the question remains unanswered. Will Leonor one day be able to exist outside the role imposed on her? Will she be able to be a woman as much as a princess? And will we be able to grant her this right? And you, do you think royal figures still have the right to privacy in a world where every moment can be captured, published, and shared with a click?